back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And it is mid-June, and it is
hot
already.
Hot as you know what.
Yeah, it's
Or as I
angry.
always say, hot as a pot of snot.
What is Eli says it's 100 in hell outside. So that's where we are.
Yeah.
We were trying to decide on our question of the week, and Eve said, like, we were just thinking of ideas, and we're like, where in the world would you like to live? Which is not our question of the week, and I said, actually, the question should be, if you could live anywhere in the world, why would you choose Arizona?
Well,
we love Arizona.
I do. I love living here, but
I saw some news post that said, oh, it's supposed to be really hot in New York, and you're like 103 or something. I'm like,
yeah, but there's humidity involved with
yeah,
it.
but I'm like,
Hannah's like, it's so hot in Boston right now. It was 93 this morning, and I'm like, well, I'll give you the humidity.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was 100.
All of you are saying
It was 117.
No.
Last Saturday.
I have to say that I acknowledge the humidity.
Yeah, the humidity makes a difference.
I went to. I always tell the story. I went to Lenox, Massachusetts, to pick Hannah up at the end of her summer there, and I have never been so miserable in my life as I was because of that humidity.
Yeah,
because I've been in heat. I have literally walked in 120 degree heat.
Yeah.
But I was never as miserable as I was that week.
In
when
Florida,
I used to live in Arkansas, and we would play for Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July down by the river. The riverfront amphitheater thing was right on the river. Like, here's the wall and there's the river.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, and at one point they shifted us, because we used to be like the last thing in the evening right before the fireworks, and then for Riverfest, which was Memorial Day weekend, they changed it up and they shifted us so that we were this, not the last thing, because they had
You still played with the sun up?
So we had to play, and the cellos were like on the front of the stage, facing the sun, and the sun was baking them, and so we had to like move the whole orchestra in so that their cellos weren't like being beaten by the sun.
So we acknowledge that there's heat worse than Arizona sometimes, but not often. So
I'm sorry, 117 is still...
It's still bad,
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us again. Grab your craft, your knitting, your stitching, your drawing, your painting, your sticks and your strings, and your favorite beverage, which our photo, you might notice, our thumbnail has no Cokes because somehow we forgot. They were sitting over there. And I was like,
none of us went, because we are usually just like,
give me that.
Grabbing it out of her hands as she walks in.
So anyway, grab your favorite beverage and your chicken of choice, and let's sit down for some chatting.
Oh, before we do that, we had a comment of the older viewer.
Yes.
She asked us a question about some things. We are not triplets. I am the oldest.
Yeah.
She's younger than me by a year. She's younger than me by 8 years.
Yeah.
And Beth and I live together, and Naomi lives in her home with her husband and children.
About 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
10 minutes when Naomi drives. It's more like 20 when I drive.
20. It does not take 20 minutes to get to my house. Oh my gosh. Even if you're going, I did not speak today.
Well, we used to live, once upon a time, we lived like all across the country.
Yeah.
Because Eve lived in Florida, I lived in Arkansas, and Naomi lived in Boston, or out in Phoenix.
Yeah. Or Phoenix,
So we were like,
So we've been
But
separated, and then now they followed me out here. I was here first.
But we were encouraged as we were growing up to be not only artistic, but to work with our hands, to have a craft. My mom often lamented to me that she didn't know how to knit or crochet or anything like that. She could sew, but
She's a good sews.
she didn't.
Well, no, she did when we were young.
She did when we were younger. But what I meant was, she just felt like her mother crocheted constantly, and and she always lamented that she never learned how, and I was like, it just wasn't her thing. Everybody has a thing.
She was a teacher in every sense, because she was a first grade teacher, but she also taught Sunday school at church, and she just was always drawn to little people, as she called them, little kids, preschoolers especially.
That was her passion.
Yeah, and so, so everybody has their thing, and, and yeah, she had, her mother and a couple of her sisters and all that, all did.
And for my father, it was
stitching
music.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Our dad loved music and encouraged us. So we certainly grew up with permission.
And they were
to explore.
They were musicians, or are musicians.
Yeah.
And I did art.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of our little history.
And our brother is in music.
Oh yeah,
also.
we have a brother. Yeah, he's older than Eve, and he's out in doing his thing in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go first, and I know y'all are sick of seeing this sweater. I'm a little sick of seeing it.
I know I am. No.
But I have news. This is finally to length. This is my aunt's sweater. 3 rectangles, 2 triangles by Stacy Perry. It's hard to understand if you've not seen it before, but these are the 2 front panels and the back panel. I decided to make them all at the same time because I have second sock syndrome really bad. And if you're a knitter, you know what I mean. So I made all 3.
You mean like I haven't worked on my second sock?
Exactly. The first sock is like, oh, I did it. You're like, I don't want to do that again. So anyway, so I decided to avoid second sock syndrome by doing all 3 rectangles at once. And I measured it yesterday, something like that, day before. And then this morning I did the final first row again, because you're supposed to bind off on the second row, which is the front side, and then you bind off on the back side. So I'm ready to do that. So while we're on camera, I'm going to be finally binding off these 3 pieces. Then what happens is, because it's just an open cardigan, and sorry, I'm throwing it all over the place. You sew it at the shoulders on both sides. So I would sew it like this, and you leave a little bit of an opening for the neck, since it's just kind of a fold over cardigan. There's no buttons or anything like that. And then it winds up being a drop shoulder, so it'll come down here, and then you make the sleeves about 16 or 17 inches of knitting, so it's not a lot. And so I'm very encouraged.
Are you going to make the sleeves at the same time?
Yes, making 2 sleeves at the same time. The 2 pockets are already made, because I made those at the same time as my gauge swatches, and to practice doing 2 at a time. So so after this is done, I'm going to seam the shoulders and try it on myself, because I'm a little bit taller than my aunt, so I'm going to just pretend that I'm shorter and older, and then make the sleeves. And if I accidentally make them a little too long, you can roll them, make a cuff up.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this will be done very soon. So that's my story, and then it's my crafting things. And then in other news, if you have been here for long with us, a couple of years ago, I want to say it was 2 to 2.5 years. I have to look back on when I got it, but I had a Remarkable 2, which is like a paper-like writing tablet, and yesterday I upgraded to a Remarkable Paper Pro. So this, I'm just showing it because it's like my brain. So it looks a lot the same. It's got notebooks, and the pen on it, you can write on it and actually erase as well. And the thing about the Paper Pro is that it has color. So this is what I call my yearbook. This notebook is my yearbook, which I give to people to sign when they want to say, I want to try that. So I made a cover for it, and I made it in color. And it has all different kinds of pens. Like this was made with what's called the shader. So as you write over, as you write over it, it gets darker and darker and darker. and it has a lot of different colors, and it's got paintbrushes and markers and pens and pencils and fine liners and all different kinds of pens, and I use it. This is a lot of fun, but I actually really use it at work. As those of you who have worked in corporate space, you know that like most people keep some kind of notebook, right, for meetings or to-do lists or whatever. And when I bought it, I was working in 3 different departments, literally having a meeting with this department and that department and that department, and I was keeping all my notes in one notebook, and it was a nightmare because I would have to page back and find the marketing notes and page back and find the executive notes and and look for the development notes. And so I got the Remarkable 2, and I could keep separate notebooks on the same pad and just open them and keep them completely separate without carrying 3 notebooks around that are paper. And then I've just completely adapted to this. And you can have all different kinds of notebooks, like grids and blank and like regular lines, wide rule. They have a to-do page. They have all different kinds of paper that you can make a notebook out of. So it's a lot of fun, and it's also just like my brain. And I was really nervous because I told Mark, I cannot go one day, like one working day, I cannot have without this. Mm-hmm. So I got home Friday night, and I made sure that, because everything's in the cloud, so that was easy. Mm-hmm. I made sure everything was synced up into the cloud, and then I like factory reset it. I was like, and then I got the new one, came home, synced it up. I was like, okay, everything's still there. But I see that so anyway, and it has, the other nice thing about this, it has a backlight. So you can, because the other one didn't, it was more like actually writing on paper. You had to have light. Mm-hmm. So this one has a little bit of a backlight. And
do you have a notebook there where you have all of your projects listed?
No, but I do. So I
mean all of your knitting projects.
I reorganized it. I do have like a knitting folder that has information of notes and things like that. So I use Knit Companion for all my projects on my iPad. But anyway, that's just my baby. It's my life, and I had to share because this was a huge upgrade for me, and it's really nice. And I used like whatever I paid for the Remarkable 2, which I can't remember how much it was. I used every penny out of that thing, and it was still in really good condition. So I got a trade-in for it at Best Buy, and then applied it toward that. So anyway, that's me. Okay. I'm going to start binding off. I'm very excited. Bet's going next, and of course I caught her mid.
Well, I just pulled the needle off the thread here, so, and the thread's like in the way, so I'm trying to.
She's always got to put a thread.
Yeah.
Are the chickens in your way? Should I move them?
No, I don't think they are in the way.
I put chickens up there today because I was like, we went out and drove to the farm to get chickens, which I've been doing. Mark came with me, and I realized we've been doing this since 2020. For 5 years, we've been getting eggs from her.
You need your own chickens.
And no. And then, I used to want them, but as I've watched her plight through all of this, like with coyotes and with heat, it's too hard. So, but I was remembering, Mark was like, remember that he goes, did you ever tell her when we got our kittens in 2020, we adopted them from a friend of a friend, and we said, well, can we pay you anything for them? And she was like, no, that's fine. I said, well, I have a lot of extra eggs, because at the time I was getting 2 dozen a week. And I said, I have a lot of extra eggs. Would you like a dozen eggs? And she was like, oh, sure, that's great. I love to bake and all that. So I gave her a dozen eggs when we got the kittens. So I always tell them, you're 6 of one and half dozen of the other. so today I texted her, and I was like, did I ever tell you that story? Because I don't know if she ever knew that I traded her eggs for kittens. So we always tell you, you're only worth 6 eggs. Watch it.
At least you didn't trade them for magic beans.
No.
I always joke about magic beans because, like, when we go grocery shopping, we, buy just junk food sometimes.
If we're buying junk.
Yeah, and so I always say we went to the store and bought magic beans. you know, spent a lot of money but didn't buy any food. You know?
The cart was so full, and I was like, there's no actual food in this cart.
Just a bunch of crap.
Oh, no.
You have to keep in mind that I don't have any pots and pans, so you know we're buying things that you wouldn't
Because they're
ordinarily buy.
moving, not because
Yeah.
they don't have any pots.
Well,
Yeah.
and also because there's a senior discount day at the beginning of the month, so we try to buy, you know, basically a month's worth, or, you know, as much as we can all at once. And so that's why we end up with a giant thing. Speaking of giant things, I finished my bell pull. This is the Black Cat Season bell pull designed by Stephanie Webb of Lindy Stitches. So this is the last one, number 6. This just called Black Cat Season. And there's a cat sitting in a little half moon. And so I finished this. I started it on the 2nd of June, and I stitched on it just a few days. And it really only took me 6 of the 7 days I had allotted for my WIP-GO finishes. But yeah, so I finished this finally, and I added this little, she did a bunch of free border designs that you could put in between the stitches. What am I doing here? So this is the Black Cat Season pattern. And these are like the free border things. So I put one in between each of the panels. So this is the entire bell pull.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
You started that what, September or October?
Here, go slow. Go down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do
Oh,
it. We'll
yeah.
do it. We'll do maybe a little cutout movie of this, so we can. Pan
So
it.
here's Midnight Walker, Shadow Stalker, Black Cat Singing in the Dead of Night. This is what made the blackest cat you ever seen make you smile on Halloween. And this one is Beware House Panther.
Mm-hmm.
This one is See a Black Cat, Pick It Up, All the Day You'll Have Good Luck. And then Black Cat Season.
Yeah.
And so,
Oh,
yeah.
look at it.
So I'm going to do, theoretically, a bell pull. That's what it's, I still have to,
His whiskers are so cool.
yeah.
You mean I'm going to do a bell pull? Is that what you said?
I have to think through the logistics of
What you want?
how to stick it together, how to sew
cute.
it together, but yeah. So that's finished. And this was a design, I think it's 2 years old now, that Stephanie Webb did. So anyway, that is all finished, finally. I'm very happy. And then I did stitch a little bit on Father's Day. I did a little bit of this for my dad's birthday, and then on Father's Day I did a little bit more. This is To My Dear Father by Little Robin Designs.
Mon cher père.
Yeah. À mon cher père. So it has the French words on the design, and then it has a date, and I don't know the significance of any of that. On her website, she doesn't say anything about
Could
the
be
original
father's
or
birth date or death
anything
date.
like that. But so I just did a little bit more. There's a house on the design, and I just did a little bit more of the outline of the house. This was just basically a day and a half-ish. Basically a day, but then I did a little bit more just so I could finish the thread that I was using. So, and I don't know when I'll work on it in earnest. I probably will maybe put it on my WIP-GO board next year or something. So there's that. And then I've been working on my cross stitch camp piece, this Celestial Sisters Bish Scorn by Silver Creek Samplers. So I finished the daytime one, the suns, and I'm working on the moon. So this is the daytime one. So I did all the various moons and the back stitching around it. So this piece is ready to go. If I ever finish the second piece, the second half. So I started the second half. I did the big moon in the middle. Part of it, there's some shading on this side, and I didn't do the eyes yet. But then there's several little, there's 4 little crescent moon kind of things around the edges, and then a bunch of stars and swirls around it.
Sorry.
That I'll be working on. And it's probably going to take me all month to finish this. But so I'm
Yeah,
working
it would
on
take me 3 years, so.
But yeah, so I'm working on the nighttime part, moon part. And then since I finished Black Cat season, my second WIP-GO piece is Calling of the Sea, the compass, which is this little design here. It's not very big, and it only uses like three different colors of thread. But I could have sworn, because I did the ship last year for Cross Stitch Camp, there's a ship design here, and the little waves under the ship are Weeks Dye Works Dolphin. And I know I did it. I actually have the finished piece, but I don't know if I borrowed Eve's dolphin thread, because if I didn't, if I used my own, I don't know what I did with it. Because so I was like, hunting all last night, and even this morning I found a stash of threads. I'm like, oh, maybe it's in here. No, it's not. It wasn't. But so I spent basically all morning, tracking down threads and putting them away and things like that, and finding threads that I had bought for various other projects, and sort of trying to okay, put these over here, this over there. But anyway, so I'm hoping to at least, my goal for this is also 7 days, and so I'm probably just going to have to squeeze in like an hour or 2 on this, and then more on that. This Celestial Sisters, and then just try, and hopefully, because it's not very big, it's only like 68 by 65, and so hopefully I can knock that out pretty quickly. And then the other thing is, I was looking at my animal crackers are my new starts. I have 2 of them are my new starts for this month.
You're supposed to start both of them?
Yeah, because one is a new start for one of the WIP-GO numbers, and the other is a new start for the other WIP-GO number. So, but because there's no set goal, I just have to put a few stitches in, so that's probably what I'm going to do. And I was looking at them going, because I'm stitching them on 46 count linen, and so hopefully they won't be gigantic.
46 count, they should be relatively small.
Yeah. So but they're like, they're not like square, it squared up or whatever. So I'm thinking, can I start this like in the center, in the middle, in the because they're like, here's the corner, and they're like it starts way over here, way down here, whatever. So it's too far to really count. And so I'm thinking that maybe, if I can fold the fabric in half and start in the middle on the edge over here, on one of them, like the blizzard, I think is a fox, and his tail is kind of up against the side, but it's like, almost halfway down. And so I'm like, I don't know where to start. I'm like, well, can I start at the bottom? It's just like, it's a,
You're gonna have to cut out.
it's
the
a,
thread.
yeah, it's just not
You're gonna
a,
have to cut out the fabric.
yeah, it's not a square, a design up on the edge or whatever, like this, even this, I had to start in the middle and, work my way out. But, so, yeah.
Are you a middle?
So-
You're not a middle starter. I like to start in the middle.
I like to start in the middle.
It depends. It depends on the design and the fabric and then whatever. I very often start in the middle, but in this case, because it's a big design, and I know it won't use the whole piece of fabric that I have for it. I was trying to see if I could start it, so off the corner or the bottom corner or whatever. But because of the irregular shape and size, I will probably end up, maybe starting in the middle, just because it'll be easier to wrap my brain around it. And then the other one I have to start for this month is Millie, which I haven't looked at it at the pattern, but it probably would be a little bit easier because it's it's more of a triangle because it's just an elephant, but instead of like a tail and a hang.
The thread wrapped around my wrist. I'm pulling it out, and it got me.
But I think that's me.
Okay.
Okay. So, I'm working on something. I'll show you in a minute. I have a finish. I finished my June cross-stitch camp piece, Blue Moon Garden, which is by Carriage House Samplings.
Cool.
And this is on a fabric.
It looks so good.
This is on a fabric I dyed myself, 14 count Aida. That's the whole dye, so I'm going to have plenty to use on something else. I really like the way this came out, and I don't really care for pink. Just a minute.
No, me. That is so pretty.
I really like.
Oh, that's cool.
One of the things I liked.
It's really neat.
One of the things I liked about.
Sorry, it looks like you spilled pink lemonade on it. It's cute.
One of the things, instead of orange sherbet, one of the things I liked about the pattern was the fabric that it was on. That orange is an unusual color for a nighttime fabric that's supposed to be a nighttime garden, and with a moon, And so what is that? The moon is out already. Is it dusk? I don't know. There's no pink in, oops, it's supposed to go this way. I put it the whole time the wrong way. So I don't know how I'm going to finish this. I'm thinking pillow. Not like they did. I'm not putting rickrack around the outside, but I'm thinking pillow rather than a flat finish of any kind. I just think it would be really cute in a dough bowl or something, It's not seasonal, so it could be any time of year, really. But for me, it lends itself to summer because of all the little pea pods and all that, little moths flying around, and there's a flower. So it's not autumn. It's not spring. It's not bright enough to be spring. So I think it's a real good one for summer.
Yeah.
Didn't they recently have they're called a strawberry moon?
Yeah. We saw a strawberry moon.
Yeah. So there's that. And then I had a new start for Silver Creek Samplers, A Sweet Memory. And again, I'm going to read it for you. It seems like only yesterday that you were very small and left for me a memory of handprints on the wall. And I just love the words. I just love it. And of course there's a handprint. And
Who's that by?
Silver Creek Samplers. And she told the story of finding a handprint on her son's wall, a little baby handprint, that she cut it out of the wall so that she could keep it.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, so many memories we have of our children.
Thank you, sorry.
There's so many memories we have of our children that slip by so fast. The stuff that, it's gone. It's here and then it's gone. And so I never had little ducks or blocks for him. So I designed the bottom differently. This is a towel and swimming goggles. And this is a game he used to play that he made up called Save the Citizen. Now, that's from Sky High, Save the Citizen, but he played it in the pool where he would drag us to the deep end, kicking and screaming. We're trying to get away, but anyway, this is my new start. I did a bottom start because at the top, I didn't think about the blocks that are up at the top. If I do blocks, I'll do them in the colors that match the bottom, because those colors are colors that she used for the blocks on the bottom. So I probably won't do the blocks, but if I do, I'll change the colors just to make them, because all these browns and rusts, that's down here, and I'm not using that, so it wouldn't go. Maybe the blue, I could use the blue, I guess. Anyway, I really like that. And I would have gotten further on it, except, I don't know, it gets so tiring. My sister lent me her neck light, and that really helps, but it's when you're trying to struggle to see in the dark. It's like after a while, you're like, okay, I'm done. And I start crocheting instead. So I'll speak to you about my crochet in a minute. Okay, so this is my temperature chart. Under the Sea temperature chart designed by myself for our Etsy shop, Three Sister Creative. And it is freaking hot.
What?
I saw this woman on TikTok. She's often talking about stuff in her life. And she said that her 5-year-old curses like a sailor. And she goes, you know how I know? I said freaking. And he corrected me and used the other word.
Whoops.
Probably from his military
Yeah.
dad. Anyway, you see that very dark
Ooh,
red
let me see.
fish?
What is
Ooh.
that, 117?
That's the 117. Anything over 115 is going to be like that. And it
Do
cooled
you have
off a
anything
little
higher?
bit. Not yet.
Oh, okay.
It cooled off a little bit. It's, I think yesterday it was in the 99 or something like that. Maybe it was 100. I don't know. Once it reaches 110, it's pretty much
You can't tell.
all just nasty.
You
Yeah.
can't tell the difference.
So I've done a little bit of work on Winter Deer by Tiny Modernist. I promised myself I would work on it a little bit at a time when I could to try to get it finished before Christmas. And I'm almost, I need to put on little feet. And I started doing the garland around his neck.
It's cute.
I've only
It's
worked on
already
it a
cute.
couple of days. There's something else I'm working on in the morning, that Father's Day pattern. It's another story. And so what I'm working on right now is Dirty Annie Southern Style Winter Reindeer.
Turkey.
I I love this pattern.
That is.
I love a lot of the patterns that she does. I want so bad the pup cup and the kit tea. They're both sitting in little cups. I would just like, that would be so cute, just the little two of them. No, I haven't finished OMG, you got me a treat. Once I finish that, I can think about it. Anyway, I haven't even started that, so it might be a while.
Oh, she did those too?
Yeah, she did. She's the one that designed Felice Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
Okay. And at the same time, I bought OMG, you got me a tree.
The
That's a
kitty
cat
one, right.
looking at a tree. And those are Christmas.
Yeah.
But Pup Cup and Kitty, you know, KITTEA,
Uh-huh.
you know, both of them are in little cups. That'd be just great to just have on a wall, you
Yeah.
know.
That's cute.
Anyway, I've done a lot since the last time you've seen it. I've added 3 more snowflakes. I've added leaves to most of the tree. I've discovered that the tree is completely not right, and I decided not to change it. I did frog.
Trees aren't perfect, you know.
Well, no, up here it's a stitch too short, and down here it's a stitch too short.
So,
And so I'm just like, oh well, I'll just add more to the base, you know. So I did frog what was wrong in this. I went over it and went over it and went over it. I made a working copy. I made 2 actually, one that I could actually see, and I highlighted everywhere where it was wrong. It's like I can't show you the pattern. You can't really see the pattern. One of the problems for this and the other patterns that she does is that the lines, in the first place, the lines are 5 by 5. They're not 10 by 10. But secondly, they are very, 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 very faint. They're really hard to see. And on this one, I actually gridded them out. I went over them with a pen so I could see them.
yeah.
Because I was wanting to get it right. So now I don't have to try to work on making this one wrong the same way. I just make it the way the patterns, and they should end up at the same point. And once I get the bottom of the reindeer done, I'll worry about the bottom of the tree. Those snowflakes, there's no counting to them. So I'm just going to put them wherever they end up.
Yeah.
Because the only one's going to really matter is the one inside, inside,
Near his neck.
well, on the other one, there's one inside the, kind of in the tail, in the neck area, right here, on the other one. And run right beside the tail, right here, a big one.
And those will be easy to place.
Those will be easy to place, but the other ones, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I must have counted to this guy like 6 times and tracked across the thing. Am I making it right? Am I making it right? You know, to try to get them even on the start. And then now I have to really buckle down and count for the rest of it. Now, what I've been working on is a hamburger.
The buns.
The buns.
Oh my gosh.
I finished this bun. Well, first I finished this after we spoke last week. And then I was all excited and I said, I'm going to finish that bun. So then I have the bun, the bottom bun. And last night I finished the top bun. I probably overstuffed it, okay? And then I started on the tomato and I started crying. The tomato uses five colors.
Wow.
And you're supposed to start with a light orange. And this is the closest thing I could find to light orange. And then you're supposed to blend it
It's just not a ripe tomato.
with red. And I'm like, that doesn't look right.
I think it looks.
And so I asked Naomi, what do you think it looks like?
You don't eat tomatoes, so how do you know?
I
She hates tomatoes.
hate tomatoes. Always have. By the way, this is a picture of what it's supposed to look like. Mine does not look like this. My bun is not flat like this bun. Anyway, I spilled the beans to Naomi to tell her that this is her birthday present, office warming gift.
Thank you.
But
That's going to be fun.
yeah, I figured a stack of normal coasters. Coasters are almost a necessary thing here. But Naomi said that looks like a tomato, so I'm going to continue on and
I think it looks
hopefully-
like the white tomato center.
Well, most of it will be the outside part that you see anyway, unless you actually use it. So, and they're usable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, those, did you crochet or knit us some coasters? They worked really
I
well.
crocheted some and I wove some. I have a turtle, not a turtle loom, but a loom. And then I
The
also
ones you
sewed
gave
some.
us all.
Those
some.
are quilted ones, but
No.
yeah.
You
I
gave us some that
crocheted-
were crocheted.
Yeah, crocheted with
Because they worked really well. And the thing is, these is that they're double thick.
yeah,
So
that's cool.
extra absorbent. Do you have a piece of lettuce to put your soda on? I could give you an onion if you'd rather. How about some cheese? I tried putting flecks in the cheese and it was too much work, so I stopped. Okay, so that is all.
That is all. All right. Well, that means it's time for our question of the week. Before I say that, I want to extend a heartfelt apology to Vicki. We did not mean to gross you out last week.
And probably right after you stopped is when we stopped.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry about all the cuts and gross that we talked about last week. Okay. Last week our question of the week was, what is the dark side to your craft? And we had some people talk about FFOing, that's like a hurdle, and I guess she took a box out and did like 20 and she still has 6 or 7, so that was one. And the other was running down the rabbit hole of purchasing too much, and
Yeah, I do that too.
and being, as we say, sable, stash acquired beyond life expectancy. And let's see, there was another.
And I have that times 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was looking at my Thread Stash app, and I have in there, I have it set so it hides the completed projects, and so it only shows the ones that I've either not started or are in progress. And there's like 163,
No, don't say that out loud.
163, I think.
Yeah.
And that's, I think,
Only the ones
all
you've
the-
entered in there.
Yeah, I think everything I own is in there.
Is in there. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
but except for, I think there's 2 little kits that I bought at like Hobby Lobby or whatever that I don't think I put them in there. But
So that
but
was
yeah,
our question
so-
last week. So thanks for answering. This week we want to know. So for cross stitch camp, they had to decide. They had to choose to. Ow! I hurt my ear. They had to choose
Choose a pattern based
pattern.
on when you stitch.
When you stitch, day or
Yeah.
night or whatever. So we want to know, when do you do your crafts? Are you middle of the night, witching hour kind of crafter? Are you early in the morning?
I know many
Basically-
people do it like after they come home from work or after
evenings. I wound up doing a lot more knitting at like 5 in the morning because I wind up waking up super early, and I'm like, I don't want to. I don't want to go to work early. But anyway, I'm like, I could stitch for an hour. Even this morning, I got up and stitched for an hour or so.
I
I find it if I stitch, I used to like, well, when I get on a tear, I'm like all night, like just whatever. But I sleep knit a lot that way, and it's not good.
I found that I'll do it whenever I have some time.
Yeah,
But it's not necessarily cross stitch.
yeah.
And
Well, sure.
I tend to cross stitch mostly at night because that's when all the errands are done. I don't have to think about,
Appointments and,
well, you know,
yeah.
what do I need to eat right now or anything like that. If I'm going to make something for dinner, what am I making?
You're just free.
Yeah, where all the stuff that interrupts your day, if I'm working or whatever, all of that stuff has gone, and I can just concentrate on stitching. But I do stitching very early in the morning when I'm the only person in the house that's up.
It's kind of peaceful. I really like it. I'll put on a show or whatever and knit.
But that isn't
So-
a long time.
Yeah.
So
So we want to know when do you do your craft? So let us know that.
and I have a story.
Okay, I have a couple stories. And second piece finished. I'm like hoping like is it too flaring? Is it flaring? That's the problem with binding off. Sometimes it can be too loose or be too tight. It's gotta be just right.
It looks beautiful.
So this is piece number
So
2.
I got a phone call. It was CVS
Oh no.
pharmacy. And I answered, and woman says, "Is this so and so?" Yes. And she wanted confirmation on who I was. Okay, and I told her, because they're my pharmacy. I thought they were going to tell me there's been a drug recall or, you know.
Yeah.
No. She said, "Did you picked up a prescription on such and such a date?" Yes. "Well, we gave you 5 too many pills, and we need you to bring that prescription back so that we can count them out again and take out the 5. I said, "Can I just bring you 5 pills?" "Well, I suppose." Okay. So I said, I mixed them together and put them in my
Daily thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Like all
I
of us
took them
old
all
people.
out of there, and see, I had dumped one into the other one, right? What I had left into the new one. But I didn't dump what I had left into the new one because they're supposed to give me easy open caps, and they gave me a regular cap. And so I put it in the old bottle. And she complained about that. You brought us an old bottle. I'm like, and? You know?
You gave me too many
Here's
pills.
the pills. I brought the pills back like you asked. And then she's like counting them, showing me. I'm like, I don't care. Just take the 5 out that you know. Okay, we have film that shows that we gave you 5 too many. Okay. I wasn't questioning it, you know? But she was acting like I'm like, I believed you. I came. Here. I'm not going to run out. Okay? Because if they actually gave me 5 too many, but see, it's a controlled drug.
Yeah.
And she was going to have to throw them away anyway because they went to my house. But they need to prove.
She was counting like that for the camera.
Yeah,
for
to
sure.
account for, yeah.
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 Someone's trying not to get fired, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, the weirdest pharmacy phone call I've ever had. I've had a pharmacy phone call that said, "Do you want to know, more about such and such drug that you are now taking?" No.
I mean, I just get do you want to put them all on a schedule? I'm like, no. I will tell you when I need meds. We filled them all anyway. Okay. What was I going to say? It just flew out of my brain. you're talking about grocery shopping. The other day, yesterday, we were like, I'm like, well, we have to go grocery. I was reading something that my husband had written. He wanted me to edit it for him. So I was sitting there and I was like, Eli, please go get me a bag of popcorn. So I get at Costco, I get this big box of Skinny Pop, the individual bags, like 28 bags. And I take one to work every day. Sometimes I eat them at night because it's a high fiber, pretty low carb snack that I can eat, and it really doesn't bump my blood sugar up. So it's kind of one of those things I keep on hand. So Eli comes back in and he goes, we gotta go to Costco. After this, there's only 2 bags left. And I was like, yep. And then he said, Mom can't live without that popcorn. Oh, and then there's also the Skinny Dipped little peanut butter bars, peanut butter cups. Skinny Dipped makes these little peanut butter cups that are very, very dark chocolate. There's only 2 grams of sugar in each one, and it's got a lot of peanut butter in it. So the balance of the protein of the peanut butter and the low sugar, I can eat those, and my blood sugar does this. So they're like my little saving grace. Like after a meal, when you really are craving something sweet, I can eat that, and it, you know. Mm. So and the boys love them, and they're like, I will never eat a Reese's peanut butter cup ever again because they're dark chocolate. They taste so good, and they're not overly sweet. So that's my another. So I go okay, popcorn and Skinny Dip, and then I was like, oh, and don't forget the protein bars because I get these. This is all at Costco. I get these Nature Valley?
I don't know what you buy.
I'm just saying, is that not the brand Nature
Valley?
Nature Valley.
Bar.
Yeah. So they make a protein bar that's mostly peanuts and a tiny bit of chocolate, and that I can eat.
I've had them. They're good.
That I can eat like a kind of a meal replacement. So I always have those on hand. I'm like, okay, those three things. And then I was like, and Eli goes, oh, and cucumbers, because I also get the little cucumbers from Costco, the little one. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, those 5 things. And then there was something else too, and that are like, and I said, see, because I told Mark the other day, I said, I've been eating the same thing for a year and a half, like, because once I changed my whole diet over, I found those things that I can, that keep me right, and everything's regulated and everything, but it's like a little bit, I'm like, I'm kind of bored now. But it's like these essentials that are like I need to, I have all these things, and it might sound like a lot of junk, but it's really like those snack items, because I can't eat a bag of chips, and I can't, all this stuff. So, but we were laughing about that. Like, okay, it's really 5 things. Oh, okay, well, it's really 6 things. It's funny, but yeah.
When I was in college, in undergrad, I used to like take my lunch basically every day, and I went through a phase basically where I took the same thing every day. I took I think it was boiled eggs and an orange, and things like that, and they're just like, I don't know, that's what I ate every day. And I think at one point, when I was working at Blue Cross in Little Rock, I kind of did the same thing like that, because then you don't really have to think about it, and it's
well, there's these burrito bowls that they make at Costco that they have rice in them. But okay, fun fact: if you refrigerate certain starches like pasta and rice and eat them the next day, it changes the glycemic index of them. So like if you eat it fresh, it will raise your blood sugar quite a bit, but if you refrigerate it and eat it the next day, that process somehow breaks down that it's less impactful. So these little burrito bowls, they have beans and rice in them, which are carbs, but that coupled with the protein, coupled with the fact that because they're not frozen, they're refrigerated little things. I can eat those for lunch, and not have a bad reaction. Whereas like if I made rice and served myself some, it would, you know.
Yeah.
So I buy those a lot. So my lunches are almost always the same. But
I can't eat the same thing every day. I can't. Beth
Well,
can eat a sandwich every single day, and it doesn't get to her. But I'm like, no, I have to change it up.
variety, yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, when I used to take to work, I used to take the like Healthy Choice frozen meals or whatever, and I would have a different meal every day.
Yeah, my
but it was like
sisters.
after a while,
Thank you.
I was just like, yeah, I don't want to eat that anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I found a really, so I just got a new job and I finished 3 weeks. They kept me for 3 weeks. So that's fun. But I, the other day, because I don't know, I usually am really good about making lunches. I make salads and I make 4 salads at a time, 2 for Mark, 2 for me. I have these big salad bowl things that have, it's like, do you remember when I was little and Mom and Dad thought I didn't eat enough hot? And they got me that little clown set to like make meals fun. And it was a plate and a bowl. A plate was his like feet, and then the bowl with
It
the
wasn't
bottom.
that they didn't think you ate enough. It was that they couldn't get you to eat anything besides ice cream.
And so anyway, it was a clown. All the cups and bowls.
It
and
had an
plates
egg.
made a little-
The head was a little hard-boiled egg holder.
Yeah. So
And then it had 2 bowls.
yeah,
and a
a
plate.
plate, and it reminded me. So anyway, these salad bowls, I think they're by WIP-GO, I think it's called, company. It's
Yeah.
a bowl and a tray and a little dressing thing, and then the lid and the fork. And
Bento.
the thing. Bento, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have 4 of those, and they're very unwieldy in the cabinets. But anyway, so except I think Mark lost one of his forks. That's his problem because he doesn't get a fork. But anyway. So I usually make 4 salads, and I buy you can tell I shop at Costco a lot. Whoops. I buy the little chicken.
I started having the bento bowls there.
Uh-huh.
Bento bowl packs.
Yeah. So I buy the little grilled chicken packs, like the whole big thing of them.
Mhm.
So sometimes I buy salad kits because that's kind of fun, different, but sometimes I just buy a big thing of lettuce and I put lettuce, I chop up broccoli in the bottom, and then on the top I do
Little cucumbers.
those little cucumbers and carrots on one thing, and then the chicken, and then croutons and like sunflower
Should have
seeds.
Beth make you Bob and Larry salad.
Yeah, maybe.
Except you don't like feta cheese.
I don't like feta cheese.
No, I
So
eat
then-
it without the feta cheese.
Oh, so then and then a little thing of dressing. And so I make 4 of those, and then I also supplement with those chicken bowls. And I really usually, and Mark won't eat those, but he has other things that he takes. So anyway, I'm usually really good about it. But this week I was just like, sorry, I got nothing. So I went to lunch yesterday. 2 days ago, I ordered from this place called Cava, or a couple days ago.
Heard of it.
Really good. You can build your own bowl, and they had lentils, which were really good. And I got lentils instead of rice, and it's so good. If you have a Cava near you, you should try it.
I've heard of it.
And then
Everybody raves about it.
yeah, it's really good. And then but then on Friday I also didn't have lunch, and I was like, what is around here? Because I know I saw my boss walk in with Chipotle one day, and I was like, oh, I could do Chipotle. And so I was looking around in the maps, and I saw right there, kitty corner to our office park, there's a shopping center with the Fry's, and I could go to Fry's and buy. And so what am I gonna do? Cook it? No. But there's a little sandwich shop called Sourdough and Company, something like that. And I looked at their menu, and of course they had sandwiches, but they had salads. So I went in and I got a Cobb salad without blue cheese. Sorry if you like blue cheese. Bleh. Anyway, so I got a Cobb salad, and I didn't know that it came. I got back to my office, and it came with this beautiful piece of sourdough, like a long.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like,
I wish I could eat that.
oh, I wish I could eat that. But so this is the thing. When
I could eat it, but sourdough's low in sugar.
When I sat down to eat, I was on my monitor, my arrows were, and I was getting low sugar warnings. So I'm like, you know what? I'm eating this bread. I ate the salad mostly first. I'd eat a lot of salad, take a little bit of bread, a lot of salad, and it was fine. It didn't affect me. Because if you eat fiber first and then protein, you can handle carbs on top of that, and it won't affect you the same way. So here's your lesson in low carb eating.
The Goo said
The
that sourdough bread is very low in sugar. So
Well, it's and I mean,
as far as breads go,
it's one of the better ones. But so that was enjoyable.
or you could eat this bread.
That bread I could eat. It might make me sick, but it
High
would
in
not.
fiber.
It's very high, very high in fiber. So Mark just sent me a.
That's
Mark
why I
just-
thought it would be funny to me.
Mark just sent me a picture that says, "I used to just procrastinate, but I got so good I went pro."
So when you were talking about the grocery store, you know, we stopped at Fry's, I think it was when we were going to do our monthly shop, and I was still downloading coupons, but I was walking. And I wasn't walking fast because it's not a race. But I wasn't in the middle of the aisle. I was like off to the side. And this guy, I could hear him. And then all of a sudden he races past me with his cart. And I'm like,
Sorry, do you have a meeting to be at?
excuse me, ma'am, can I get by you?
Yeah, no.
No. Or people, I'm sorry, if you're one of these people, don't do it, okay? Don't.
None of our viewers would be one of those people. Whatever people
Don't
you're
leave
with.
your cart sitting somewhere and be nowhere to be found.
Maybe they have
Because
a bathroom
if you're,
emergency.
because
The
if
only
you're
time
someone,
the
take
only
your
time
cart
it's
with
excusable
you.
is if you have a bathroom emergency.
Take your cart with you.
Okay.
Because if you're in one of those, motorized carts, and there's a random cart with nobody attached,
Yeah.
sometimes if there's a pole or whatever, you can't get around it. You
Yeah.
got to get up and move the stupid thing before you can go.
Yeah.
And
What I hate one time.
when they leave it at the end of the aisle, it's annoying, but at least you can usually get around it.
They just
But,
walked
yeah.
off to figure out which kind of milk they want, and they forgot.
What I hated, one time I went to, I think it was Walmart or something, and I had several things in my basket, and I had to go to the bathroom, and so it was in the, they have a front restroom and the back restroom at this particular store, and the one in the back was, there was a layaway counter and this and that and the other, and then the restrooms, and so I had my cart there, and I went in to use the restroom, and I came out, and the cart was gone, and they had restocked everything, and I was like, so I had to start over.
You must have been in there a while.
Well, I don't know. They just took they saw the cart sitting there, I guess,
Yeah.
and just took it off, took
Because
it
if
away.
it's got plenty of stuff in it,
Yeah, but-
that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of rude.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So we got with our security system at the house. We got a it's not a ring, but it's like a ring doorbell, a
Yeah.
video doorbell. And so Eli and Mark and I are all set up on the system. So whenever it's motion sensitive. So whenever there's activity at the door, we get a little message.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got one while I was sitting here, and I looked, and Mark was out doing yard work. But the first day we had it, I'm sitting at work, and all of a sudden I get blink, like, motion detected at your front door. So I look at it, and Mark's standing in front of the thing going this. And he walks away. He knew that it would notify me. It was so funny. I should have saved it. I don't know if I can go back and find it. But
Mark is funny.
I'm just hysterical.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, I showed it to my friends at work. He's like, oh no. I'm like, well, don't send me funny videos. I work on purpose. I'm almost done with these 3 pieces, and I'm very excited.
So when I was looking at this to try to decide what was wrong, if there was only one deer, I would have just left it because it looked right? But I'm like going in here and counting carefully. What is wrong with it? Oh, I have to put some brown in here. I forgot about that. I'm counting carefully. And you, when you make a mistake and you know that there's a mistake and you finally go back and figure out what it is, your next thing is, do I need to frog it?
Yeah.
Do I need to frog it? And I said, no, I'll just make the same on the other side. And I'm like, yeah, you know what the chances of that are?
Yep.
Because that's why I was marking it. I do this here and I do that there, and no, that would be harder than frogging it and doing it right.
Right.
So
well, it's like there's a knitter. There was a knitter named Elizabeth Zimmerman. If you're a knitter, you probably know that name. She's kind of really revered for many good reasons. One of the things that she always said was, every so often, admire your work. And she doesn't mean like just so you can feel good about yourself either, but it's also to be like, oh, look right there, I missed that. So it's close enough that you can go fix it. Whereas like you're already finished and it's way down here, and you're like, well, if I'd have been admiring my work, I would have seen it 10 inches before, So it's a way of just like, both, look how far I've come, but also, oh, look at that.
well, and by the time I realized what was wrong, I was down on the legs.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'll just make the other one the same. And then when I pick it up again, I'm like, that is just impractical. Because I did that with that cat, those two cats, and I wasn't able to do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes too many, it's unnecessary stress.
Yeah.
Deferring your stress
I
is what
saw-
you're trying to do.
I saw somebody had posted recently that they had taken, I think they had taken their piece to the framer and they went to take a picture of it like for their Instagram page, and there was a stitch that they had not crossed.
Oh,
So, but fortunately it was kind of like, lower in the design or whatever. So you had to like, she said, I didn't see this until after I got it back. Look at, to see if you could see where the problem was. And she said something, she gave some hint about where it was on the design. So I'm like looking at it going, what are you talking about? What? And I'm like, oh, there's
Well, so
cross stitch there.
do you remember? So okay,
I did that. Yeah.
I have a book called Fearless Fair Isle Knitting, and it's about the color work, and that's why I'm working on that one cardigan that I started 1,000 years ago that I haven't finished for Hannah. But she says, I have been known, because you're working in this, thousands of stitches on this tiny work of tiny needles and these little, and it's 2 of these and 1 of these and 2 of this color, 1 of that color, like that, these intricate patterns, and you don't notice that you did it wrong. She's like, I've been known to color over one with a Sharpie. Like, so, and I don't know if you remember when I made that enormous shawl for Hannah's violin teacher.
Yes.
There was one stitch where it was a slip stitch pattern where you were supposed to slip some and not slip some. And I think I can't remember now, but I think I had put a float on the wrong side, and I can't remember now, but I think it was a white float over a black stitch.
Yeah.
And I took a Sharpie and colored that white float, because I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And now, probably if you're wearing it, you're never going to see that one white float, but just in case you do, it's black. And it'll be black forever. Because I don't think Sharpie will wash out of wool if she takes care of it correctly.
No.
So.
It wouldn't wash out anyway.
On this little pattern, one of these little eyes, there's like a white dot in the center of the eye. And when I did the white, I figured out, okay, I could do this stitch and that stitch and then these two and then, you know, so that I'll end up, and I can anchor the thread and blah, 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 blah. But when I did this one, I did like half a stitch too low or something, and I didn't see it until later on, and I was like, oh, and so I just like took, I stitched over the part of the square with the darker, you know, a black color, and then just fixed the white stitch by itself. So back here, there's like a little, you know, and I think I also didn't cross one of the X's.
Yeah, one of this white here on the top, I frogged up to where it was just one stitch, but it needed to be white one stitch higher. I was like, I ain't frogging all that brown. There's no way. I stitched right over that thing. Because you know who this is for?
Me.
It's for me.
Yeah.
Do I care? No, I do not care. I do not care because you cannot see it.
Right.
There's a slight difference in height.
Yeah.
But it's not brown. It's white. It looks white.
Okay.
So.
I'm not finished with the sweater, but I'm finished with these pieces.
Yay!
So by next week, you will now see. Look, is it flaring? No, it's just rolled. Okay. Woo-hoo. It doesn't matter because I'm going to sew it up, so it's okay if it flares a tiny bit. It'll squish up. By next week, I'll have at least this part sewn together and the sleeves started. So that's exciting.
It's good because, you know, you're running out of blue yarn.
Well, I have a whole, so yeah, I've got this big one that I had started, and then I got these two small ones, and then I've got this one that I wound. So these two are very similar in size. So I'm going to start the sleeves with these. I'm going to do the sewing with these, and if I need any extra, I have these in reserve. So I've got enough yarn for the sleeves, and the pockets are already done. So, woo woo.
So should we
So
say
yeah,
goodbye
I think
now?
I need to go.
You have to go buy little cucumbers at Costco.
I have to go to Costco. I need so many things. Yeah, I'm like, I ate the last bag of popcorn on the way over here, so I'm like, I need all my my staples at Costco, and I have got to clean Hannah's room. The other day she was like, I really want to. She was, sometimes I just want to come home, and I'm like, you could come home anytime, honey. But let me some morning, because I got to clean your room. You have nowhere to sleep right now. Ooh. Anyway, so I got to clean her room.
Sleep on the floor like a pauper.
No, I don't think she can sleep on the floor. It is such a mess. It is horrible. And I saw one of these ladies that I follow. She's like, I'm finally committed to cleaning my craft room, and she's like panning, and I'm like, oh, that looks like my craft room. So
I always tell that too. My cat Snug, he actually likes to sleep on the bed. I have a little IKEA pillow thing, and he sleeps on that pillow, and then he likes to get under the covers. Like he'll sit there and he'll start pawing at my blanket, you know, and so I have to pick up the blanket so he can get under there. But so usually, you know, he's sleeping somewhere there on the bed, and the same thing with Puck. You know, he has his little place on the bow of the bed. But every once in a while, Snug, I guess, because he gets hot or something, he'll lie down on the floor, and I was like, why are you lying on the floor like a pauper?
yeah, Hobbs will cuddle me whenever I'm in my chair. And he loves if I have a fuzzy blanket. He gets on there and he's like, and every once in a while he'll just jump down and lay on the floor and do that whole backward, just like I gotta cool my belly off.
Yeah.
When the dogs come in from outside, on
Yeah.
on the tile.
Maximum cold tummy.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for joining us one more time.
Hope you're keeping cool.
Yeah, stay cool. It's getting hot out there.
It's officially summer now.
Officially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Today.
yesterday was
No.
the
Yesterday.
Today. No. Today.
20th.
No. Today. 21st.
Whatever.
Okay.
It's June 21st.
Anyway, it was summer here last month.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. We hope you have a good week. Please come back, join us again next week. Like, subscribe, put on your notifications.
Let us know when you stitch.
And yeah, nighttime, daytime, all day, all night. Let us know. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.